Let's roll, baby. Welcome in a special Friday night edition of New York, New York with yours truly, JJ John Jastrzemski, live via YouTube, available wherever you get your podcasts. And what can I say? How about them New York Knicks? I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. How about those New York Knicks? They're up 3-0 now in this series against Philadelphia 76ers, 108-94 the final down in South Philadelphia. And basically, no OG Anunoby, no problem for the New York Knicks. They were tougher, they were deeper, they were better than Philadelphia across the board. So many heroes on this particular night. So much kudos to throw the way of so many different particular players. You know where I'm going to start? I'm going to start with the Knicks bench because this has been a major theme throughout the course of this year. Hey, are the Knicks going to be a deeper team than they've been in years past? Are they going to have options if indeed there's a situation? Hey, 2 years ago, let me paint the picture for you. The Knicks are in the exact same boat. Up 2-0 in a series, losing OG Anunoby, going on the road to play a game 3. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. They never recovered in that Indiana series. This team goes to Philadelphia, gets off to a sloppy start. Turned the ball over a bunch. Paul George is hitting a bunch of threes. Yet, I came away at the end of the first quarter saying, hey, the Knicks are only down 4. They're in decent shape here. And then you see those bench minutes. And I know we're going to get to Jalen Brunson and his brilliance. I know we're going to get to another big-time game from Mikal Bridges. Absolutely, positively true. My start of game, I feel like I'm really embracing the hockey vernacular with this one. I'm really starting to enjoy this start of game. The start of game for game number 3, for me, for my money, is Landry Shamet. Because you needed somebody to go and step up and give you big minutes in the absence of OG Anunoby. And let's be real. Landry Shamet did exactly that. He gave you 15 points. He was 5 or 6 from the field. He goes 2 or 3 from beyond the three-point arc. And listen, anybody who came off that Knicks bench, I mean, look at their plus minuses. Shamet was plus 20. Robinson, who, listen, always is going to bring intangibles, energy, defense, rebounding. You know what you're getting from Mitch. That's a given there. He was what tonight? Plus 16. Clarkson was plus 11. There was a point in this game where the Knicks bench was basically putting up 20-something points. And Philadelphia, before that stiff Quentin Grimes, who I know hit a couple of threes in the third quarter, who the hell cares, but has been bricking shots this entire series and is basically reverting back to the player he once was with the New York Knicks. The bench is outscoring him like 25-26-0. This is exactly what you've been looking for out of this group. The idea of multiple guys being able to go and step up and help you in a big way. Shamet, he's been the absolute pro of all pros. Really, since he put a Knicks uniform on. We saw that last year in the series against Indiana where he wasn't getting much burn. Tom Thibodeau called him out, brought him in, turned to him, and he really stepped up in a big way. This year, Shamet's been a big part of the team from Jump Street. Hasn't gotten as much burn in the postseason. But even though Deuce McBride got the start today, Landry Shamet comes into the game and makes things happen. And that Knicks bench, to me, is the biggest difference in the game and why we're talking about the Knicks up 3-0 in this series. So, kudos, hats off, round of applause to the Knicks bench. They have it. Philadelphia does not. Tell you what else the Knicks have. Certain level of toughness that Philadelphia does not have. Knicks are a much tougher team. Look at the way they got after it and played defense. You look at the first quarter and beyond this game. So the Knicks did not have a great first quarter defensively. George hit a bunch of shots. Gave up 31 first quarter points. Second quarter, they gave up 21. Third quarter, they gave up 24. Fourth quarter, wait for this, 18 points. They held Philadelphia to 18 points in the fourth quarter. This is the sort of big-time defense this team has been playing since falling behind 2-1 in the Atlanta series. They did this without Anunoby tonight. And once again, hey, got to give credit what credit is due. Mikal Bridges, this is now his what? Fourth consecutive good game. 23 points, 8 of 14 from the field. Working his tail off defensively on Tyrese Maxey. And, it's funny. You're going to see Maxey's stats. He's incredibly efficient. He ended up 8 of 12. He was nowhere close to as involved as he should have been. Now, maybe that's on Philly, but maybe that's a credit to the Knicks for making sure, hey, guess what? We're going to deny him. We're going to make him be a passer. We're not going to allow him to go and dominate the basketball game. It's a good strategy. And it's one that has clearly worked out to the advantage of the Knicks from the second half of game number 2. And now, of course, what we saw in game 3. Efficient from Maxey, sure, but he didn't have his imprint all over the sucker. And I think Bridges and what he's doing defensively is a big, big part of that. Then you got to get to the Knicks captain. And we saw it in the fourth quarter of game 2. We also saw it in the fourth quarter of game 3. You get in the half court, the shot clock is winding down, and Jalen Brunson is going to make a tremendous basketball decision. Philly has struggled mightily with Jalen Brunson here in this series. And he gets you 33, and it's pretty crazy to say this because you're a Knicks fan who understands the history of the franchise and how many games Patrick Ewing played in the postseason if you go back to my childhood, or if you are of a certain age, and I'm not, how many games Clyde Frazier found himself in the postseason. I know the postseason looked a little different back then, but after this 30-point performance by Jalen Brunson, he now has the most 30-point performances in Knicks history. And he's only just begun as far as adding to that mantle, hopefully throughout the next couple of weeks and for the years to come. But you got to that fourth quarter of the game, and it was a flat-out party in Philadelphia. The Sixer fans wanted to go home. The Sixer fans probably realized, like many of us probably realized, third quarter of this game, Knicks didn't play great. They really didn't. Philly's hanging around. They cut it to 4. They're messing around with the Hack-a-Mitch, and you got to give Robinson credit for going and hitting a couple of free throws, which to me was absolutely enormous because it allows you to breathe a little bit. You constantly keep going 0-2, 0-2, 0-2. It's like, it's a drag. It's a major, major drain. Robinson at least going 1-2, 1-2. Had one instance where he went 2-2. They're much needed points. And for the Knicks to kind of withstand that Philly run, Philly got it to, I want to say, 2. And then you looked at the end of the quarter, and the Knicks are up 9. I mean, I'm sitting there saying to myself, how in the world are the Knicks up 9 in this game? Because they didn't play a great third quarter. But Philly doesn't have the answers. Joel Embiid is flopping around like crazy. The flop fest, and listen, the Knicks are guilty of this too. There were times you feel like you're watching this game and it's European soccer with Embiid going down and Cat going down. And listen, this is another one of these games where Cat gets into foul trouble, and that's why you needed guys like Shamet, and that's why you needed big minutes out of Bridges. Without Anunoby, and really for a good chunk of this game until you hit the fourth quarter without Karl Anthony Towns because of absolute stupidity. But when he's in there, he's making things happen, making the right basketball play, distributing. And from an offensive standpoint, this is where, to me, Mike Brown deserves all of the bouquets and all of the flowers imaginable for the difference in this Knicks group from where we were, what was it? 2 weeks ago. Just 2 weeks ago. The Knicks were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks. I know it seems like a lifetime ago. It was 2 weeks ago. They were down 2-1. You had Knicks fans searching for answers. You felt like Game 4 was one of those swing momentum pendulums one way or another for how this postseason was going to go and how this team was going to be viewed moving forward. Like you lose that game, you fall behind 3-1, you go and lose that series to the Hawks. All bets are off with this roster. Hey, we were having the conversations. What happens if they lose this series? Well, since then, the Knicks have played as flawless and as brilliant a brand of basketball as you could possibly play. Am I right or am I wrong? And if you think I'm wrong, how about this? Knicks have shot at least 49% in 6 consecutive playoff games. They're the first team since the 82 Lakers to do that. This is big time stuff. The Knicks answered the double teams of Jalen Brunson. The Knicks moved the basketball in this game. They got unbelievable minutes out of their bench. And now it's go for the throat. It's Mother's Day, 3:30 in Philly. You know the Sixer fan is staying at home for this one. They are not making a trip. They will be staying at home. The Knicks fan will be infiltrating that building. And my advice to Mike Brown, OG Anunoby deserves another day off. Get him as much rest as you possibly can and go belt to ass one more time and go into the Eastern Conference Finals for the second consecutive year. Did not think the Knicks were going to win this game tonight. I got to be perfectly frank. I did not think they were going to win the game. Without Anunoby, desperation from the Sixers at home, I thought we'd be looking at a 2-1 series. I was wrong. Knicks are on fire. And with each one of these performances, you start to dream. You start to dream. You start to dream that much more. You want to get in touch with the show, you click the link. I see a ton of comments here, so I'm going to start firing through these YouTube comments as we speak. This one comes from our guy, Nick. Have to love the pain for Philly fans, both Flyers and Sixers facing 0-3 games at home Saturday and Sunday. You know what we said to that, Nick? What a shame. What a shame. This one comes from the great Tim. Landry Shamet was massive tonight. He absolutely was. Listen, I would give Landry Shamet my number one star of the game. I know that's going to sound crazy because Jalen Brunson had yet another 30-point performance, and this was another tremendous effort out of Mikal Bridges. But you needed somebody to go and step up. We talked about that right after game 2. Because I think we, in this little group that we live in, all accepted the fact that OG Anunoby was not going to play in game 3. And even when the Knicks 24 hours ago send, Shams the update that, hey, he's day-to-day, he's questionable, I'm like, he's not playing game 3. It may not be as bad an injury as he had 2 years ago against the Pacers, but up 2-0 in the series, injury happened on Wednesday. They're not playing him on Friday night. Was. And Shamet's hitting threes. He's playing with energy. And that entire Knicks bench, hey, take advantage of a team that has no bench. Philadelphia, folks, has no bench. And going into this series, that was one of the huge keys I circled for why the Knicks were going to go and win this series. Because it was pretty simple. You watched Game 7 against the Celtics. Philly was playing 6 guys. That's it. They're playing 6 guys. Tough to sustain that. Hey, you live this series. It's a little different because the Knicks were playing bench players. This Philly team really is not. But you saw Indiana last year and how Indiana was able to go and, basically run the Knicks off the floor because they're going 8, 9, 10 deep. It's nice being on the other end of it. This one from Chef Guns. Mitchie, clutch free throws. Hey, whatever worked for Robinson tonight from the charity stripe, would love to see more of it. Would love to see more of it. Maybe being down in Philly was the best thing for him. I don't know. But you have the meme of Robinson now dunking over Embiid, which, by the way, is going to be on 10 zillion T-shirts. I'm sure it's going to be all over Instagram. Like, that's going to be the most shared Instagram story of the night. I have to imagine. I mean, how is it not? But you see the difference in this Knicks team when Robinson plays and when he doesn't. And it was a welcome sight to have him back on the floor. Knicks defense is just much better when he's out there. This one from M.A. Russo 12. I wanted Shamet to start the game, but he was so impactful off the bench. Let OG rest. Heavy dose of Shamet in game 4 against that terrible Sixer bench. Well said, my friend. There's no way in the world you're going to see. No way in the world are you going to see OG Anunoby play this game 4. Why would you? I got to be honest. I wouldn't play him in game 4. I wouldn't play him in game 5. I don't even want to will a game 6 into existence. I mean, forget about that. But I don't anticipate much from the Sixers in game 4. I don't. Because they look like a team that is just completely overwhelmed by what the Knicks threw at them. You got their best punch, game 2. They couldn't hit a shot down the stretch. You got a similar run in them in the third quarter of this game. Fourth quarter rolls around. Couldn't hit a shot. They've had 2 games in a row now where Karl Anthony Towns has gotten into foul trouble, and it hasn't even mattered. Like, that was my biggest complaint in game 1. I'm like, geez. Well, game 2, excuse me. Game 1, there was nothing to complain about. This is a good one. Damon, you're all over this. I'm happy I'm not the only one with Tangle headphones. No, this is my life in a nutshell. I am literally unpacking headphones and scrambling together and working to try to, piece my life in order. So I am always a mess, when it comes to Tangle headphones. Now, if you do want to get in with the show, here's the link to call the show. I'm reading a bunch of YouTube comments now. That's our link right there. It is pinned in the comments. So if you want to get in touch with your boy, here you go. This one from Walter. Don't play with your food. Wrap it up on Sunday. My gut is you're going to see the Knicks wrap this baby up on Sunday. I thought if Philly was going to get a game here, game 3 was going to be the one. Now, I have not seen an opening line for Sunday. Knicks, remember, they opened up as a favorite in game 3, and this line moved dramatically. You saw it all the way go to like Philadelphia by 3.5, 4.5. Knicks are favored by 1.5 on Sunday. Makes sense. They're not going to overreact. This one from Sirac JK187. Bridges came alive tonight. Great effort from the team in OG's absence. Yeah, and look, that's what great teams have to do. When you're missing a role player, and I don't even like using that term for OG Anunoby because he's so much more than a role player for this team. But if you're missing, your second or your third best player, depending on where you put him in the pecking order, other guys within the team have got to go and answer the bell. And that's where you look at Shamet, who did exactly that. You got good minutes out of Clarkson. You got quality coaching. And you got Jalen Brunson bringing you home. These fourth quarters, Jalen Brunson bringing you home is a thing of beauty. This one from JB Lane. OG, take your time recovering. We'll see you in the Eastern Conference Finals. I like that. I like that indeed. We will see you in the Eastern Conference Finals. is another one. Key tonight was surviving the opening 6 to 8 minutes. They held the Philly lead to 12. It's crazy. Philly did get off to a fast start in this game and then erased it fairly quickly. After that, it was all but over. But the shouting crushed the Sixers spirit. They sure did. I'm very curious if this guy is leaving Philly as we speak. Danny, are you coming from Philly right now as we speak after a glorious win?
It's kind of a tradition, isn't it?
I'm kind of bummed in a way I didn't go, but like I didn't go last year or 2 years ago and it worked out well. So I was kind of figuring it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Absolutely. But, it's an easy drive. Oh, tonight wasn't. Tonight, the Phillies fans, because they had a baseball game in the same complex, just screwed everything up. But I kept their fans home, too. A lot of Knicks fans in that arena.
Well, you were there 2 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Both games 2 years ago.
Okay, so you were at what, 3, 4, and 6, or whatever it was?
I think we were at 3 and 6.
Okay, the reason I asked this is because they made such an effort to try to keep the Knicks fan out of the building this time. Was it business as usual? Were the Knicks fans maybe not as plentiful? Like, what was I'm curious here. What was the deal?
I would say 40-60. They failed in their efforts to keep us out. And I think it really had to do with the fact that the Phillies were playing. Like everybody we saw that when we were like in traffic, getting to the arena, in the parking lots, they're all going to the Phillies game. I know that the Phillies had a bit of a resurgence recently, and they had a nice comeback in the 8th inning tonight. But the Knicks fans were very loud.
It's also April baseball. I mean, my goodness, that kind of tells you about how Philly's priorities are kind of aligned, and the Sixers are kind of down the pecking order. That city has not embraced that team. Even after beating the Celtics, they've not embraced that team. And let's be honest about this, Dan. Watching this game, once they got going in the second quarter, and once they survived that third quarter, I don't know about you, there was never a moment in the fourth quarter I thought they were losing this game.
Yeah, even at the end of the first quarter, when Paul George came out and had 15 points in 8 minutes, and that was basically he could have went to bed after that. That was it. We ended the first quarter and we were down, I think, 4 points or something like that. It was like, well, I mean, they outplayed the shit out of us, and we're right there. We're just a lot. It's so apparent that we are just so much better than them, and it's a great thing right now.
Listen, they're the better team. They're the team. Isn't it nice talking about a Knicks team too with a bench? How refreshing is that? I don't know about you. How refreshing?
It's great, and Brunson's greatness. He doesn't have to dominate in terms of like having the ball in his hands. They don't have to go to him like early and often. And you look up, he's got 22 points. And when you need a bucket, I know there was a big point in the fourth quarter early where I think they had cut it. The Sixers had cut it to 6 or 8, and we had a turnover, and then Philly, I think we got to stop, and then Brunson came down and knocked down a 3. So every time we need one, he just secures it. It's phenomenal. It's such a balanced team. As much as like Bridges drives you crazy with the fadeaways because he's captain fadeaway, he does it all on the other end too.
Listen, Bridges now, Danny, good call, good start. Back-to-back second rounds has answered the bell. He answered the bell last year against the Celtics, and since Game 6 of the Atlanta series, Bridges has been aggressive. And that, to me, is the biggest thing for him. He's got to be assertive. He can't disappear. He hasn't disappeared. I'm almost okay with him taking a couple of bad shots if it means he's going to maintain that aggressiveness. Because it means you're getting a much more engaged player and a much more tuned-in player. And to this exact point, this one from P. Liff, I guess that Bridges has been underwhelming in the regular season, but he's been tremendous in this series. Well, it's been beyond this series. It's now 4 consecutive really good games from Mikal, starting with Game 6 in Atlanta. And, it's funny. We go back to that Game 6. The Knicks were up by a zillion points. Some people are like, oh, maybe Mikal Bridges just paying the stats. I didn't look at it that way. I said, great. Maybe that's a confidence booster. Maybe that's something that can get him going as we move forward. Because if you're going to get to where you want to be, Knicks need Mikal Bridges. They do. That whole starting five, that whole cohesive unit, when Anunoby's back in the fold, like, that's your meal ticket to beating Detroit. If that's who you play in the Eastern Conference Finals, and, we're kind of we're beyond halfway there to a Knicks-Pistons playoff rematch. Detroit's got to win 2 more games. Knicks got 1 more to get. That'd be a fantastic, fantastic series. I know Detroit had their way with the Knicks in the regular season. Knicks better. They're better. And the changes they have made offensively, I think, go a long way in changing the vibe of what you saw in those regular season games. And, hey, for anybody who's like, oh, well, you didn't beat them in the regular season. Didn't we say the same thing about the Celtics last year? You got to be very, very careful with that. This one from Juan, it tells you how things can change. It didn't seem that long ago we weren't talking about the problem with the team being lack of depth. Now it's a strength. Have to credit Leon and crew for building a playoff optimized team. Well, it's a credit to Leon Rose. That's very true, Juan. But it also is a credit to the guys on the bench, because you have to buy in to knowing your role, accepting your role, and being a team first guy. Right? Landry Shamet fell out of the rotation. Got back in the rotation. Jordan Clarkson, early in the year, fell out of the rotation. Found himself back in the rotation. Jose Alvarado, same deal. All those guys, in and out, in and out, in and out. They didn't bitch about it. They didn't bellyache on social media. They didn't cause problems for Mike Brown. When they were out of the rotation, they were good teammates. They were pros. You need guys like that to buy in. That's what the special teams have. You know who the starting five for this group is. You know who you're counting on. We've had big Alvarado postseason games. You got one game 4 in Atlanta. You now got a big Landry Shamet game. Might have a big Jordan Clarkson game before it's all said and done. It's interesting. Like Robinson, I don't even count him as part of the bench. I don't. Like he's almost in a way like the 6th starter, you know? This one from Andrew. What a game for Shamet. Good plug-and-play option for them. Championship teams handle the early surge from the home teams. Game 2, tension in the crowd, and they won that. That's true. That's what winners do. There was tension in that Garden crowd. I was there on Wednesday night. And Knicks weathered the storm multiple times, and no harm, no foul. The Cobra is ready to go here on this fine Friday night. Cobra, pour one out for the Knicks. How we doing?
Dude, buddy, I'll tell you this. I was getting wrecked at the bar watching this game. And I'll
That's
tell
a
you
fun one to get wrecked for. Well played. I like it. There you
go. Dude, I topped it off with a Espelon shot right there. The big thing I'll say about this was, and you hit it on the head too, is like, I mean, our bench, in my opinion, is what put them away. They have no depth, Philly. That was the big thing in this game. No depth from Philadelphia. You know, give Landry Shamet a lot of credit. I mean, he came off the bench. He performed. Even some of the things that McBride did, I was pretty impressed with. He didn't score, but he was in the play of things. And then Brunson, again, Brunson, Bridges, they did what they had to do. Hart tonight, just rebounding the ball. He came to play. I mean, lunch pail tonight. The only person I don't even want to pick on him was Towns. Getting those 4 fouls pissed me off.
Because of the fouls. That's the problem, Cobra. When he was out there, he was incredibly effective. But he's got to be smarter. And I know this. People are going to say, "Oh, JJ, this is what he's been his entire career." That's true. That's accurate. But he's so important to what they want to do. You can't have these games where you're picking up these dopey fouls, dude. You just can't.
and I'll say this too. A lot of these folks love to compare, Embiid to Patrick. I'll tell you something. Embiid doesn't have the heart Patrick Ewing has. That's one thing for sure. I mean that push tonight. Again, they didn't call it what they should have called it, but he's a little punk. Philly, the Philly fans, and I'll say this: your last caller picked up on this. I don't know what it is with the Sixers, but they haven't had a love affair with the Philadelphia 76ers in 25 years since like
I was
Allen
gonna say what
Iverson's been there.
Iverson going back to
Yeah.
Iverson, and you know what it is, Cobra? It's interesting because this team in particular in Philly, you'd think the city would warm up to them, down 3-1 against the Celtics. Coming home first playoff game. Hey, they're down 2-0. They were down 3-1. Didn't seem like that. And maybe it's an Eagle Town first and foremost. Then the Phillies kind of take that second pecking order, if you will. But you're letting the Knicks fans just come in and do whatever they want in the building. I mean, it's just, and I know that's happened for years. Like this goes back to regular season games. It's just too easy a drive. The Knicks fan is too passionate. They're going to find their way in there. But it's embarrassing for the Sixers. Like if I'm a diehard Sixer fan, I am absolutely disgusted that my crowd is getting taken over again in the fourth quarter by Knicks fans.
Well, again, and that's the thing too, because you see Little Snuff and you see their group of guys who are known in Philly, the Flyers are getting more pub than this team, and it's just crazy to think that way. But I mean, again, because I feel like they have a center, Maxi. Maxi was the other guy for them tonight who didn't come up big. Like I thought Maxi would have done something, and he didn't do what he needed to do for them to really be in this game. The other
You
thing
know
I'll
what's
say,
interesting though, Cobra? Maxi was efficient, but he didn't kind of insert his will
yeah,
as much as he should have. And I don't know if that's on him. I don't know if it's on Nick Nurse trying to tell him, hey, you got to go and shoot the ball more. You can't just be looking to find Paul George and Edgecombe in the corners for threes. Dude, we need you to score. Like you look at Maxey, I think he shot like 65 or 70%.
Yeah.
He was super efficient, but he didn't like the first half of game 2, Cobra. He dominated, right? Like he was in the middle of everything. This game, it kind of felt like, oh, Maxey, when he wants to be involved, he's involved, but he wasn't keeping you up at night,
Well, and again, our defense on Paul George was great, but that to me, him getting that 15 and then just going to sleep, pretty much, that's the biggest indictment on them because he's not that third option, pretty much. I mean, Edgecombe is more of a third option than he is now, if you really look at it. So, I mean, that's the feeling. One thing I wanted to ask you, which nobody in the media has played up, it's in the other series, Detroit and Cleveland. Detroit's whole staff knows Cleveland very well, and I feel like nobody's really touched on that.
That's a really, really good point, Cobra. Going back to Bickerstaff, who was in Cleveland for forever. Great point. Although there is some change in personnel. They didn't have Harden then. They have Harden now, but Mobley was there. Allen was there. Mitchell was there. And yeah, I guess, listen, I think Detroit, they're tougher than Cleveland. Their personnel is far more badass. Cleveland's soft. Let's call it what it is. They got a bunch of guys on that team that got playoff demons. Their identity is lacking, and they've gotten punked in a couple of these games. Like, I don't know if you feel this way from a Knicks standpoint. I would have preferred the Cavaliers over the Pistons any day of the week. Like, the 100%. Cavaliers to me are a joke. I think the Knicks will be favored against Detroit. They should beat Detroit. But with the way they play basketball, that's not going to be an easy series because they're going to go and beat you up a little bit. That's what they want to do.
No, that's probably going to be a 7-game series. We're going to have, to get the good old, soul of Bernard King out there basically to finish off a deciding game. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. I think, look, we're halfway there, and my whole thing is I want to let's sweep Philly. Let's bring out the 1989 brooms. Let's have Charles, crying on ESPN. I think let's get this done. Let's rest up. Let OG rest up because this is going to be a bloodbath of the series. This is going to be a war between us and Detroit, And whatever happens, happens. But it's like this is the best chance for this team to get to a final, and this needs to happen. That's really what needs to come
Cobra,
down.
minimum needs to happen, and you just have to think about it logically. Great call as always. You never know when you're getting back. You never know. Like I'm a big fan of this Knick group. If they go and get themselves to an NBA final, I think it's going to be enough to kind of maintain the status quo as it should be. I mean, the team hasn't been in the finals since 1999. But to say, oh, you lose, you never know. No, you got to strike. These windows close fast. They close fast. I saw Clyde Frazier the other day at this BTIG charity day. I'm like, this team going to the finals. He's like, they better go to the finals. They better go to the finals. He's 100% right. This one's from Garrett, coming to you from Philly, where the terrible fans cheer louder for the missed free throws to get Chick-fil-A. And when AI was shot on the screen than anything else on the floor, Knick fans took that place over. And by the way, Ian was just stupendous, absolutely stupendous in describing the Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you noticed that. This one is from RJ. Come on, at least 3 of those 5 fouls on Cat were terrible calls. See, here's the problem with that. I don't like the excuse making with the officials. No. Enough. Be smarter. Be smarter. You're playing a guy who's going to flop around like crazy. You got to know that going in. Andrew is up next. He joins us. Hi, Andrew. How we doing?
JJ, how we doing?
Fantastic, Andrew. Fantastic. I'm really surprised the Knicks won this game today. I got to be honest. I am surprised.
You know what? I'm confident. I think this is a different group than years past. This is different. It feels different. Like they're actually deep. Like they have a bench that can contribute. Like Shamet comes in, hasn't played in what feels like a month. Comes in and he does his thing. Now, McBride, I'd like to see McBride get going a little bit. He's kind of had some issues, but hopefully he can figure it out. But I mean, Shamet was great tonight. I mean, I'd like to see Towns not commit a stupid foul once in a while. That would be nice. Feels like every game he's doing one of these cutesy things and he thinks he can get away with it and he just doesn't. But Philly's out of gas. I mean, you can
and they have no players. Andrew, you nailed it brilliantly. They have nobody coming off that bench that scares you. And
Absolutely
how refreshing was it to see the graphic on the Amazon scorebug? Bench points, 25, Philadelphia 0. I'm like, hey, we just lived the Indiana series last year.
I know.
Indiana's throwing now. Knicks aren't running 10, 11 guys deep like the Pacers were. But you get where I'm going. The Knicks have a bench, and they're playing a team that doesn't, and they're able to take advantage of it.
No, absolutely. I mean, listen, when you have guys that can come in and contribute that haven't played in a month, that's pretty good. I mean, Shamet was good for them this year. I mean, he was
really good. Andrew had a big season. That's a great point.
They signed him late. The guy was taking pictures at the U.S. Open. Okay, this guy was doing camera work at the U.S. Open, like during the tennis, in September. I didn't even know if he was going to put on the uniform. He puts it on. It's been incredible for them. I mean, he played for Anunoby for a while. And the last Philly game, I brought this up on the last stream. When they played Philly, he started for the Knicks in February when OG was out. So I thought maybe they'd go with Shamet to start the game, but they went with McBride, which I thought was the right call. This Deuce has earned that. And also Philly's got small guards because they had to pick their poison there. It's do you start McBride and then you're putting Bridges on George, or do you go with Shamet? Because that's kind of their issue. It was kind of a matchup thing. And then obviously Joel playing factors in a little bit to some degree. But, I mean, it worked out for them. I mean, obviously they withheld the road early. That road, you knew Philly was going to come out desperate. We all knew that. They did. They withheld it, and they had the lead, which was shocking going into halftime. So I thought they were going to be down at half before the game started. But they did their thing. I give them a lot of credit. And honestly, they're winning Sunday.
At this point, you're going to be surprised if this series goes to 5th game. Because you're almost at a point with Philly where it's like, well, what else does this team with no bodies, dare I say, have to give? And, that first quarter, circling back to it, George was all over the place. And it was a similar script for George because I was there game 2. Okay. He gets off to the hot start.
Right.
And then you can't find him. Same deal in game 3. it's partially due to the fact that, hey, Paul George, for my money, he's not a big-time performer. That's one.
Not anymore.
But also, he's in a spot now with this team where they're asking him to do too much because they don't have the bench pieces. All these guys, like you see Embiid huffing and puffing down the floor. It's like, dude, he needs a gas mask.
Yeah, no, he can't even get up the floor. I mean, he looks like an offensive lineman who just tried to run for a touchdown. I mean, he can't breathe. I mean, and they have no bench. I mean, Drummond is worthless. I mean, he's done nothing. I can't even believe he took a 3 tonight. He airballed it by about 12 feet. And listen, that's the difference to me is the bench. I mean, I know everyone's been saying that really is the difference in this series. And Joel's never healthy. He never will be. It's just the reality for them. They're gonna have to figure that out down the road. I mean, Maxi's a great player, but Bridges did a tremendous job on Maxi in the second.
Well, and Bridges, listen, without Anunoby, you needed a big game out of Bridges tonight.
No,
and
absolutely.
When he's playing like this offensively, his defense feeds off of it. He plays with so much more confidence. The energy is there. And like what they've been able to do with Maxi, it's a lot of Mikal Bridges. Right. Yes, he's gotten help from guys and guys have checked the Brunson, a Hart, etc. But that's been a Bridges thing. And we give him a lot of shit. I'll be the first to admit it.
Me too.
I've destroyed him.
Admit it.
I look at the 5 first-round picks. These games where he disappears. This doesn't and I want to bring this up because I think there are a lot of people saying, oh, see, this is why you go and give up the 5 first-round picks for him. Guys, these are 2 separate conversations.
Correct.
He's a part of the team now. It doesn't ignore, the trade, but it doesn't validate it, but he needs to go and help the team. If you don't want to think about it, him getting you and being a part of a team that goes to the NBA Finals makes it easier to digest. That's all.
Yeah, and winning a championship helps digest that also. I mean, anytime you can win a chip and go down the Canyon of Heroes, that's going to help.
That's it. Knicks fans aren't going to care about any move that's made when they haven't done it since Clyde Frazier. Correct.
Right. So that's going to help. But I'll let you go. I appreciate you having me
Andrew,
on.
Excellent.
Go Orange. I'm a Syracuse alum. Go Orange.
Well, listen, let's pony up that NIL and make sure Jerry McNamara has a chance to be in the tournament in year 1. I went on a Syracuse radio station earlier today, and they asked me, they go, well, what are your expectations for Jerry in year 1? I go, well, it's college basketball in 2026. Be in the freaking NCAA tournament. I mean, come on. Syracuse. My school hasn't been there in 5, almost 6 years. Syracuse, who goes every year. So I was asked that. I'm like, come on, are you guys serious? What do you think? I'm going to celebrate winning like 20 games and being the NIT? The hell with that. Bradley's up next. What's up, Brad?
Hey, JJ. Phenomenal night by the Knicks. Went into this game, didn't have any expectation of them to win this one.
You were expecting a loss too, right?
Yeah, I was expecting a loss. I was definitely concerned with OG, how that would impact them. And hey, we got an answer tonight. It was a positive one. Listen, they need to sweep these guys. I'm sorry. I'm sure they're paying attention across what's happening with Cavs in Detroit. That Detroit could definitely sweep the Cavs. Get this thing wrapped up on Sunday. Don't even fool around. Don't play with your food. Wrap this fucking thing up and just get ready for Detroit. Give OG all the time he needs to rest. If Cleveland can somehow, push that series like a couple games, like to a game 6, hopefully. Listen, just that's the goal. That's the mindset, and keep doing what they're doing. And
well, Brad, don't you get the sense this Knicks team will do exactly that on Sunday?
Yeah, it's wishful thinking on my part.
No, but, I'm buying in because to me, this was the game Philly was going to get. They're back at home. There's no Anunoby. Desperation in a 2-0 spot. Dude, now you put them in a 3-0 spot where let's be real. It's 1-2-3 Cancun.
Yeah, it's
for a team that has 6 guys too. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
They have 6 guys.
They had 6 guys. Our bench is much deeper. Shamet, I did not expect that from Shamet tonight. Played phenomenal. Mikal Bridges has really been playing well since what happened in Atlanta. Just can't say more enough. And gotta give credit to Mike Brown. I think he's done a phenomenal job since those 2 losses against the Hawks. I think he's really got this team mojo going.
Hey, he's made the adjustments. Listen, this Knicks team was hitting them out there early in this postseason. I think for most people, myself included, They kind of thought Atlanta was going to be the easy series, and then you would work your way up, and you would have that moment of truth, maybe against the Boston, or maybe it would be against Detroit in the conference finals. No, the Knicks had it early, Brad. We did the show after draft night where it was like, holy smokes.
I remember.
They're down 2-1 in this series.
Yep.
They're down 2-1. What is going on with this team? The bigger picture questions were working their way into the equation. And that's why game 4 was a fork in the road moment. It was like, hey, what is this Knicks team going to be? Are they going to go and take care of business? Or is this going to be a season that goes completely down the drain? They took care of business. And since that point, it's over 2 weeks ago,
they haven't looked back.
They have been an absolute machine ever since. Machine.
Machine. Yep. That's the best way to describe it. Hey, that's all I got. We'll talk more Sunday. And hey, let's go for the sweep, man. Take care of these guys.
Listen, bring out the brooms. I hope anybody who's going to Philly on Mother's Day is bringing a broom with them. I would be. Hopefully we're having ourselves a little party at around 6:30 at night. You know, my guy, Nicky Costos, I just saw, one of my favorites. Gonna have to get Nicky on one of these live streams at some point. Made the point, this is the best New York team in the last, 15 years? I mean, my only pushback to that is, Nicky, who exactly do we have to compare? I mean, let's be honest. 2024 Yankees went to the World Series. That was the Judge Soto show. The rest of the team was not any good. It was not a balanced baseball team by any stretch. The 2015 Mets went to the World Series, riding Daniel Murphy and DeGrom, Harvey, and Syndergaard, and Familia closing games. I mean, what's the competition? Like, yeah, if the Knicks are in the NBA Finals, they're going to fit that description. But it's not a description that you should be particularly proud of because of the sad state of affairs with New York sports and how many loser teams we've had and underachieving teams we've had. That's what makes this Knicks team so enjoyable. They play together. There is a cohesion. There is a camaraderie. And it's been building, right? It's been building. And it's been changed here. Listen, they made a coaching change that I was not on board with. I'll be the first to tell you. Mike Brown was feeling the heat after game 2 and game 3. He didn't have a particularly good game 2 and game 3. This is where you learn about people. Not when things are going hunky-dory and you're winning games by 20 points against, the Brooklyn Nets and you're winning games against the Sacramento Kings in the regular season. No. This time of year, playoff time, is when you start learning, hey, does this guy have what it takes? And I know Atlanta was flawed and they weren't a perfect team, but they were feeling themselves. Hey, CJ McCollum was a problem, was he not? And then he wasn't. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, what if they would have played the Celtics? Who gives a shit? Sorry. Who gives a shit? They lost. And with the way the Knicks match up, I think they would have beat the Celtics anyway. This is a good one from Duxbury. I love the Duck, by the way. Brought my daughter to see the Cove Lake Ducks. If you're a Staten Islander, you know. Like those ball fields I used to play at. That was very emotional for me, to be honest. I saw the Ducks. My daughter got all excited. I'm like, this is what it's all about. She's going to be 1, by the way, on Sunday. How great. Here's what I got going on Sunday. How about this? Ellie's first birthday, Mother's Day. So got to see my mom early. Then I got the whole Sanchez crew coming to my spot to watch the Knicks game. They're troopers. They're warriors. We respect it. My mom wanted to go to dinner at like 3:30. I'm like, Mom, I love you. You're the best. I take a bullet for you, but not going to dinner during the Knicks game. Like, it's just not happening. It's like the line in Godfather 2. This is the life we've chosen. Like, no, there's no dinner during the Knicks game. It's out. And if I got to pull the work card, I got to pull the work card. But that's how I plan on celebrating Sunday. Ellie's first birthday. And I got my wife and sister doing like the the party hats on the stuffed animals. She'll have no idea what the hell is going on, but you got to do it. Your firstborn. For those of you who have children, I've heard this. You do everything for your firstborn. And then your second, your third, it's just like, yeah, we don't need to do that. Romeo. I mean, let me read this one because I got all distracted. I see a quote here. Saw a tweet the other day that makes me try to think of it this way. I'm trying to correct this grammar ducks, but I got distracted. Traded 5 firsts for OG and RJ and Quick for Bridges. So OG and Bridges for RJ Quick in the picks. If you want to look at it that way, sure. Listen, the Bridges trade, you're never going to get me on board. I wanted to make it. I haven't watched Bridges over 2 years and said, yeah, that's a guy I'd give up 5 first-round picks for. But if he is a major part of a team that gets to a finals, who wins a championship, is it worth it? Yes. Yes. Romeo. This is the worst question of the day, Romeo. I love you. You're a legend. Are you going to find time to stream Sunday? Bro. I'm going to say it one more time. Bro. It is a Knicks playoff game. Of course we'll be rocking. That is non-negotiable. I love you, Romeo, but it's non-negotiable. This one from Dr. Muffs. Let's call it like it is. Brunson greater than Maxey. Enough of this. Put some respect on his name. And no, Dr. Muffs, at this point, I am not untangling the headphones. The ship has sailed. I don't care what the optic looks like. I'm not. You want me to do that? You want me to fiddle around and take me 10 minutes? I promise for you, Dr. Muffs, and I agree with your take, by the way. Jalen Brunson's now about to take a team to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second consecutive year. And I love Tyrese Maxey. I adore Tyrese Maxey as a player. I think he's sensational. Sensational. Brunson's better. Like, if you're doing rankings of players, Brunson. Might not be the case in 2 or 3 years, but for the time being, yes, Brunson. And here's another one from Romeo. I know it's a playoff game, but it's like Brunson, Bridges, and Hart get that extra juice playing in that arena, knowing that the banners are up top. Hey, those Nova boys did a lot of winning in that building. And for Bridges, as we talked about the other day, there's the additional dangling carrot. Your mom works for the team. They draft you. Like, just like imagine this for a second. Your mom works for the team. You get drafted. Hey, this is going to be so cool. I grew up here. I played at Villanova. My mom works for the team. I'm going to get to be a Sixer. And before you can even enjoy it for 5 seconds, see ya. Traded to Phoenix. I'd be motivated. I mean, wouldn't you? So those Nova boys come to play. Hey, Hart was crashing that glass. Bridges kind of doing it all. And then Brunson at the end of these games is just, he's incredible. And he's playing within himself. He's not forcing the issue. That's been the most beautiful thing about what I've seen in game 2 and in game 3. Brunson's not forcing the issue. Kind of letting the game come to him. James, you got to get Joe B on one of these Knicks post-game shows. You know, that's actually a good suggestion. Of course, he's a big part of our Football Fridays. You know, our best shot of getting Joe is going to be after one of these day games. You know, I'd ask him to come on Sunday, but it's like it's Mother's Day Sunday. I almost feel like I got to ask Terry to come on or get Terry's permission for Joe to come on before we do anything. You know what I mean? I don't want to get anybody. Me, it's one thing. It's my show. It's my platform. Like, okay, I got to take the accountability for this. When it's guests, it's, you know, you run down a little bit more of a slippery slope. But I think that's our best bet if we have any more afternoon Knicks playoff games. Because Joe, I feel like the minute these games, especially once they start at 8 o'clock, like he's 8 o'clock and then bing, bang, boom, he is passing out. So Sunday's going to be a party. I'm already willing that into existence. I'm not mushing anything. I don't want to hear it. I hope everybody finds their way down to Philadelphia if they want to go down to Philadelphia. I can only imagine the crowd that had all the usual suspects. Tracy Morgan was down there. Stiller was down there. You feel like Stiller, and listen, Stiller went on McAfee the other day. I saw that with Schrager and the crew. He definitely is aware of the fact that Chalamet ended up going to the Met. And he said, hey, I don't get invited every year. I find that hard to believe. I feel like if you're Ben Stiller, it's just automatic. You get invited to the Met Gala. Am I wrong here? How does Ben Stiller not end up at the Met Gala whenever he wants? So he almost said, hey, I finally got invited for a change. I got to go. And he's like, well, Chalamet gets invited every year. Somebody brought up to me the other day when I was at the game that maybe Chalamet was on the outs with the Met Gala because of the whole opera thing. Tell you, that Jenner's tough to take. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Just a little too much for my liking. Okay, can I admit that? Like the nonstop PDA on the court for 4 quarters, like it's like you're dying for everybody to be talking about it. Like to me, it was refreshing today to see Timmy locked in. Probably had a little like the vodka Coke or they don't do vodka Coke, the Captain and Coke or whatever he's drinking, rum and Coke, Jack and Coke, whatever. Courtside by himself, locked in. And you notice you didn't have like the Knick contingent all sitting together because Philadelphia probably broke that up. They're like, all right, Stiller, you're going to be over here. Tracy Morgan, you're going to be over here. Spike, you're going to be over there. Chalamet, you're going to be over there. So they were kind of all over the place. But Stiller had to make sure, hey, after what happened Monday, Met Gala, I got to make sure I'm paying it forward. I'm going to road games. Now, do those guys stay in Philly? I mean, if they're going to the game on Sunday, it's not far. In theory, they could go and make the drive. They have the money to get drivers. I don't think they take an Amtrak after the game. And it's not even a private jet. A private jet is stupid. I mean, they can afford it. There's no way in the world. Chalamet might be doing a private jet. Maybe. But they probably get the limo or whatever and just take the ride down. I'll say they end up staying on Saturday. Do a nice dinner on Saturday night. See, like, I know what my point would be if I were down there. It would be Friday, go to the game. Saturday, hit the golf course. That's non-negotiable if the weather cooperates. Hit the golf course. Nice dinner. Watch some games. Wake up. Go from there. But it is Mother's Day, so maybe those guys are like, we got to be back for Mother's Day. I don't know what their plan is. Walter suggesting it is a helicopter for those guys. See, I would be really chicken shit to get on one of those helicopters. Like my wife wanted to do that when we went to South Africa. She wanted me to do some like helicopter ride. I shut that shit down so fast. I was like, no. And I don't even know if it's Kobe Bryant PTSD. Like I see them, for those of you who know New York City well, the ferry that I take from Brooklyn to Wall Street, East River, get in Brooklyn Bridge Park, take it to East River. I love it. It's the way it's now my new favorite way to get into the city. It's like where I live in Brooklyn. It's just an absolute slam dunk. The weather is great. It doesn't hurt me time-wise. It beats the smelly subway. Like when I'm downtown, I love the ferry. I love it. I can't get enough. But I see these helicopters coming in, and I'm just like, geez, it's a little scary. Like they're whipping it coming in. The wind's blowing. I'm like, no, not for me. So like I could have all the money in the world. Like they'd be like, hey, you want to go to AC in a helicopter tonight? I'd be like, no, not really. I'll pass. And I'll tell you one more before we say goodbye. James, I am passing And I like a couple of guys over at WIP, specifically my pal Joe Giglio, who goes back to me from the WFAN days. I don't even need to deal with any of the Philly people after this series is over. Like that is so beyond me. So out of my realm. Don't care. Let them go cry in their sorrows. That's a classic hashtag, not my problem. My focus will be, hey, the Knicks going to the conference finals back-to-back years for the first time since 99 and 2000. And that is what I think we'll be talking about on Sunday. For all the moms who listen, we thank you. You have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day. That goes for everybody out there. Make sure you take care of your moms, your wives. I got to take care of baby. Vibes are high. What can I say? One win away from the Eastern Conference Finals after a 6th consecutive victory for the New York Knicks. 5 out of 6 ass whoopings. Let's keep it rolling. JJ out. Enjoy your weekend. We'll chat Sunday. Be good, everybody.